us to new and wider vistas, larger realities. That's why we ground ourselves in simple spiritual practices like coming to church, so that we start by remembering that we are in God, at least once a week, for an hour. We have this experience which reminds us through the prayers and the sermons and the readings and the music and the ritual that life is larger than whatever our personal concerns may be, and that we belong to something larger. We belong not only to this community, but this community belongs to God and all of creation. Those of us who say daily prayers seek to do the same sort of thing, daily, to remember daily that we belong to God. I've been enjoying saying the daily office for a while, but not every day, I confess. I guess it's not the daily office if you don't say it every day. The less than daily office. I say the less than daily office. But on days when I don't actually say the whole office, I often say just the 95th or 100th Psalm, the Venite and the Jubilate, that proclaim that we are God's people and the sheep of his pasture, that ask us to enter his courts with thanksgiving and praise, and be thankful, and to turn to him. Because it's easy to forget to do that. With my blinders, with the world that we live in, to just kind of forget. So that's the beginning. And the other thing I love about the daily office is it puts the confession in there every day, which sometimes is annoying. But good people need the confession more than anyone else. Because when you basically are a good person, you can really quickly get into, I'm so good. And once you've gone there, you shut yourself off again from that wider, larger world. You've shut yourself off from the possibility of growing and connecting with your neighbor. And so I've been using that confession very consciously, not to bewail my manifold sins and wickednesses, because my sins are pretty petty. But to ground myself in that humility that allows me to have the hope of seeing the larger view, of getting a better view on the largeness and goodness of God and God's world and my place in it. This applies to churches too. I learned this week that the word tradition has the same root as the word traitor. We talk about our tradition as though it were a solid, fixed thing, as if what we do in the Episcopal Church on any given Sunday is what was done always and always shall be. But in fact, the church has always changed. The church has always changed. And what happens is the world is changing. And so in order to be faithful to the tradition, we have to be a traitor to it. We have to be willing to look at it critically and say, is this behavior, is this set of rituals, is this way of doing things, is this way of talking about God's goodness speaking to the world that we actually live in? If not, it needs to change. We need to be willing to be a traitor in order to keep that tradition alive instead of dead. And that's part of the work that you are doing today at the listening event after this service. This congregation will be gathering for some time to think about, what is God calling us to now? We know where we've been. But where are we to be? How might we flex? How might we shift? What emphasis should we place on which syllable? to get up on the box and get the better view. It's spring break has just ended, and on Friday we took Aiden to OMSI, and we saw this Hubble film, which was so amazing. It was the story of how this space telescope was set out there and then later maintained by space shuttle crews, and also the images, computer-generated, amazing visions of what the images that Hubble has given us. Billions of galaxies full of billions of stars. And this telescope sees through space, and not only through space, but through time. Because the light that is coming from the edge of the universe is so old that what the images we are receiving are actually of the birth of these galaxies. So that the most distant galaxies that Hubble is recording are amorphous. They aren't, the tight little, nice little wound up things that we think of when we think of our Milky Way, for instance. But they're these just kind of glowing, gooey things out there, these baby galaxies we're seeing back to the beginning of time. Talk about a better view. Talk about the wonder of creation and the greatness of God and the incredible gift of perception that human beings have been given, that a little brain like mine, through these eyes, can see the creation of the universe, light from the birth of time. God is inviting us to have a better view, to have a larger view. Amen.